I looked so lonely. I just got outed by my producer. Good morning, Cafe.
Throw
Way to
you right
start
under
with
the
an
bus.
interesting point. Thank you, Alex, for
Yeah.
just reminding the world that I'm alone.
The main cam by default.
Thank God I was wearing pants. Welcome to the Medicare Cafe. You are joined by your hosts. My name is Olivia Richardson.
Will Pierce, the dynamic duo, I believe is the coined term that Olivia is rolling with, is back for another episode.
I'm so excited, Will. Thank you so much. This has been just pure chaos in the background, as I'm sure you're aware of. Will, did you
Always.
make it out of 4th of July with all 10 fingers and toes?
I kept all of my digits intact. What about you?
I did. I have a
Good.
strict rule at my house that nobody does fireworks. I am very much like I know I'm a mom, but this happened well before I became a mom. I actually got shot by a firework and it burned my shorts. Like my shorts caught on fire because
like
of
Roman
it.
candle or like
No.
actual
It was one of the big booms, and it literally it didn't even turn sideways. It was like, I don't have a firework guy. I'm just like everybody else. I go into the tents and the gas station parking lots, and that's where I get my fireworks like a respectable American. This particular brand didn't have great reinforcements, and it starts shooting out the side of the chick booms. And then I ended up getting shot, and I literally, I'm so serious. And I had a bruise this big on my thigh for like 2 weeks. And again, my shorts, I still have them. I bust them out every 4th of July. They have burn holes in them because they caught on fire. Those are my July 4th shorts, just to remind people the dangers of July 4th. But it was
fireworks safety.
Fireworks safety. I am the reminder of, and I wasn't even the one setting off the fireworks. I was in a lawn chair 100 yards away. And I laid down on the ground. My sister-in-law is a nurse, and all I could say is, I've been shot. I've been hit. And she thought my leg was missing, and it was literally not that big of a deal. But anyways, I did make it out. I wore my reminder shorts to let everybody know not to mess around with fireworks. And I let the neighbors do their thing. We watched them.
We don't shoot them off very much anymore, but we do go over to our neighbors across the street and I help him rig them all up. So like if things do go wrong, I am partially to blame, but like we'll tie the fuses together, like set off the whole kit and caboodle, and it's quite a show every year.
Tell me you're a pyro without telling me you're a pyro.
I was just thinking just, typical Midwesterner, but
what else is there to do but to play with fire? Right? Truly. And if you guys are familiar with the Lake of the Ozarks, you guys saw the Today Show. If you're not a local Missourian or you just have slept under a rock, do you know about this, Alex? So Missouri,
the tornado.
Yeah, it wasn't a tornado. Basically. They call it like a microburst. But my husband and I were on the water when it happened, and was just like, it was a nightmare. Go search videos of microbursts.
Did you guys lose power?
We lost power for 20 hours. Now, we're lucky because there's still a lot of people there that don't have power. But we did. Yeah. We lost power for 20 hours. And so that night, me, my husband, and my son, we all camped out on our living room floor because it's the coolest spot in our condo. It was a whole thing. I bet you guys weren't here to listen to maybe you are here to listen to our July 4th Survivor Tales. I don't know. None of my business, but if you were here for that, you're about to be disappointed because we're moving on to the real content of the day. Guys, welcome to the Medicare Cafe. As I mentioned, I'm joined here by Will. Will, you have been tearing it up on all the social medias, LinkedIn and Facebook, talking about how agents can really take advantage of what's going into AEP, and you've been such a tremendous resource for everybody. I'm glad this was actually an idea that you had, and I said, this is perfect for the cafe. So over the next couple weeks, this week and the next Tuesday for cafe, we're going to be talking about recruiting downline agents. Now, there's a lot of different ways to do that. Downline agents can mean a lot of different things for a lot of people. But we know there's a lot of people who, if you're watching this, I have no doubt you're one of the best agents in the world. You're very growth mindset. And one of the ways, certainly not the only way, but one of the ways to grow your agency is by adding downline agents. So, Will, what's the focus for today? What are we going to teach the people? And, just discuss. What are we talking about today?
So one thing that I, wanted to talk about today, it's kind of twofolds: how to find someone and what to look for. in that person when we're talking about recruiting. And as always, Olivia and I did not compare any notes. So, Olivia, what did you have
We
on
thrive
your
in
notes for
chaos.
today?
So
We
I
do.
actually, because I hear the rules and I say, screw your rules, I'm going to do what I want. So I actually
Okay.
wanted to set a little bit of an expectations of, when we're talking about who we're looking for, what type, or how to find these downline agents. I kind of wanted to break it up into two methods of
Okay.
recruiting downline agents. And by methods, I mean, like, what are you looking for, right? So there's
Mm-hmm.
really kind of, if you take the fat off everything, there's two type of agents that you can be recruiting. One, brand new, neophyte, don't know how to spell Medicare, new to the industry type agent. And then the second one is going to be an agent with any level of background, of history. And it's really any insurance history. So were they previously selling PNC? Have they always been involved in life and health? Are they coming from, whatever annuity, whatever the case may be? So just something to consider when you're looking at what type of agent that you want to recruit. It also is going to depend on what style of management do you want to have on your
Mm-hmm.
recruitment as well. So the two types of agents versus two types of styles of recruitment or
Yeah.
management. We say that you can either be an LOA shop, which is what
Mm-hmm.
we call a career division. Senior marketing
Yeah.
specialist or McNerney Management Group, our mom and dad, has two paths. We do have a career division called Senior Benefit
Mm-hmm.
Services. We have the brokerage side, which you guys are familiar with, which is Senior Marketing Specialist. So we have done for the last 51 years both very, very well. We started off as a
Yep.
career division. 35 years ago started Senior Marketing Specialist. So I've done both very well for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
But there's the LOA route, which is if your downline agent writes the business, you as the principal owns the business. So if they leave, they go somewhere else, they don't own it, they don't have rights to it. You're responsible for paying them. So the carriers are not paying them, you're responsible for paying them, you're responsible, but you own the business. Versus the sub agent, which is more of the brokerage side, which is the carriers pay them, they own their book of business. And oftentimes they're not contractually obligated to take the business with you. They can go
Mm-hmm.
a lot of different places, and so there's a little bit of different, less loyalty, less control, but a lot less work because you're not manually responsible for their commissions anyway. So again, are you wanting a brand new agent versus an
Yep.
experienced agent? Are you wanting to be an LOA shop versus are you wanting to be a
Okay.
brokerage shop?
Okay.
So.
Okay.
I have a couple more thoughts on that, but I've been talking for a
Okay.
while. I kind of wanted to break down why would you go
Why
a
each
new
route?
agent, and we can go
Mm-hmm.
brokerage versus LOA. I don't really think we need to go into that. That's an
But
agency
new
design.
versus with a little bit of experience.
Yeah, exactly. I
Yeah.
would rather go into
Okay.
why would you recruit a new agent versus why you would recruit an experienced agent and vice versa, the pros and cons of each. So that's kind of where my next step
Okay.
is. Will, can you cut me off?
Olivia, I would never dream of cutting you off.
Oh, you're
But
the one.
I'm going to start with the hiring someone that has prior experience, pro cons, as my first stance to talk about there. And I think some of the pros are obvious, right? They should have shorter ramp up time. They already have a license. They already have gone through contracting before, so they kind of know what that process looks like, feels like, vibes like. And if they're coming over from life and health already, they're somewhat familiar with the terminology. Maybe they were an ACA and group producer prior, so they're kind of familiar. And now you should teach them the ins and outs of Medicare. Those are some pros, is a shorter ramp up period. They're used to the flow. They're used to being on a commission cycle. If that's how they're being paid, they're used to that side of the business. Con that I always make sure to talk about is you're probably going to have to break some bad habits. They don't sell the way you do. They don't present the way you do. They may not follow up the way that you want follow-ups done. So, the old saying of can't teach an old dog new tricks, you do kind of have to be mindful of what environment are they coming from. Are they someone that used to work in a telesales facility, or did they work at a PNC, small town agency prior? Like, what was that prior experience really shapes the person that's coming to you.
100%. I couldn't have said it better, but I'll try. No, just kidding. Another con that I'd say with hiring existing agents, especially if you're doing a career shop side, right? If you're doing a sub agent side, your investment, if you're doing like the brokerage side, you have less of investment of them because they're typically earning a street level commission. So
Hmm.
you're not expected to provide as much service compared to like a career service side. So this is less important on the broker side versus doing a career like an LOA shop. But you have to keep in mind there's also a lot less loyalty with a experienced agent, because
Hmm.
if they left whatever situation they were in to come to you, it means they're used to shopping, they're used to comparing, they understand what those conversations look like. And if you were enough to kind of sway them away from their current situation, depending on what your service model is, then it's likely that somebody else, they're just going to be less loyal to you because you are less involved in their business and less involved in growing them, compared to switching over to taking a neophyte agent, right? The pros of a
Hmm.
neophyte agent is much more loyalty. You groom
Oh, yeah.
them the way that you want to do business and the way that fits your models.
Hmm.
And sometimes they're a lot easier to find. They're a lot easier to recruit because they don't
Yeah.
aren't familiar with the competition that's out there. If you can get to them first, which we'll talk about
Hmm.
how to do that with a neophyte agent, then like as long as you can sell the dream and show them the path, very loyal, easy to recruit, and will stick with you. But just like with the cons of that is that the ramp up time is significant, and no matter how much energy and effort you put into them, the success rate of a brand new agent is incredibly low. So you got,
Yeah.
if you're going the neophyte route, you have to do way more. It's all the game of numbers. You got to recruit a lot more
Hmm.
agents, knowing that 30% of them are going to stick with you and are going to actually perform in that first year.
I think not only 30% will stick, but I think a smaller percentage of that are going to be good producers, like more than a,
100%.
a onesie twosie, kind of agent. So we always tell people, or at least I do, if you're wanting to go the brand new green, never talked a lick about insurance a day in their life, never thought about it, and you're selling them on the dream, hire multiple people at once. I think this is something that we've seen on the SBS side, Olivia, have a lot of success with this. There's something to be said about going through the experience with someone else. You
Yes.
almost have a classmate, so to say. Of
Mm-hmm.
we're learning all of this together. We're bought in on the
It's called
process
trauma
together.
bonding. We're talking
Well,
about
I
trauma
wasn't gonna
bonding.
say that.
Sorry.
But that is the route that I would go. And I would say that's also, maybe a con, depending on how you look at it, because that's also a lot more expense up front for you, both
Yeah.
time and monetarily. Hiring is expensive, no matter how you slice the pie. Like it is an expensive endeavor to take on. So if you're hiring three, four people at a time, that is a big expense at once.
Yeah. Well, and like I think you have to, especially if you're taking on new people, you kind of have to have a path or a program for them to follow so that they're giving
Yes.
them every chance of success up front. Because people, when they're making, especially when they're making a career shift, and we'll talk about like how to find these people, you really want to make them have the confidence early on, and uncertainty and like them kind of getting lost in the shuffle, you will lose them well before they even have a chance to perform. When you do bring on, especially a neophyte, this is true for experienced agents as well, but especially for neophyte agents, it takes a lot more back office support and a lot more
Oh yeah.
systems and operations in place,
Hmm.
a program for them to find that fast, and primarily like not only because of you want their experience to be a positive one, but you don't have the time to hand feed a ton of individual agents leads, trainings, experience. Like to put them in a program like what you're talking about, will free up your time, you'll get more bang for your buck, and your people will have a better experience. So Will, let's kind of jump into what how do people find these agents? How do you, I mean, if we're going into the recruitment, and the reason why recruiting is so important right now, guys, is that if you only have a couple more months before AEP to really get, I'm going to overuse and kill the phrase bang for your buck. Maybe it's the 4th of July, bang for the bucks.
There we
But you
go.
only have a few more months to really get somebody trained up to where they are
Yeah.
even floating head above water during AEP. I do know of a lot of people that their first days were in AEP, and you can do that. There's nothing wrong with that. I don't think that's ideal. So let's start with
No.
this. Will, what would you prefer? Do you want to talk about? Why don't you start? How do we find either or neophyte or experienced agents? How are we finding them?
Yeah. Yeah, I think, if you're finding experienced agents, that's going to be kind of what I feel like is the standard answer, job boards. if someone already has a license and they're maybe just looking for a different home to have a button to see at, they're probably looking on Indeed, ZipRecruiter, Glassdoor, whatever, LinkedIn for jobs, wherever they're at for a job is probably where you're gonna more likely to find an existing agent for recruitment purposes that needs a new home. Green agents, though, I think is a lot more of a fun and exciting conversation as far as where do we find them and how do we find them.
Mm-hmm.
You can go a lot more grassroots with
Mm-hmm.
your brand new people, whether that's, job fairs. I really love internship models. I've been talking a lot to people about internship models of how to bring people in. And then even just when you're out and about in your community, if you don't carry a couple business cards with you, if you have just a phenomenal interaction with someone, I really think you're missing a recruitment opportunity there too.
Yeah. I have so much of that down. I love that. Let's kind of start with one of the basics that I think to break some of this up. I don't think it matters. Here's kind of a general rule. I don't think it matters if you're going to recruit a neophyte agent or if you're recruiting an experienced agent. You first need to figure out what is your value add. Like, what are you providing to these agents either way? And figure out how to create a magnet brand. A magnet brand is something like, because whenever you start adding agents, they're either they're using your brand. Like, again, we'll talk about senior benefit services. An agent who joins that organization becomes a senior benefit service agent, and so they get to use that brand. That brand is well known. That brand's been around, for the agency's been around for 51 years. They started off as Larry
hmm
D. Barnes, but in 2014 switched up their names. But it's a brand that people know and people buy into. It's worth it. Your brand provides
Yeah,
value because people don't have to trust that brand new agent they've never met. They trust the brand that they're associated with.
correct.
So that's obviously ideal. Building a magnet brand that kind of speaks trust without you having to say a word. On the other side of that, whenever you're talking about what is your value add, let's kind of take a second to look at these experienced agents, right? So the
hmm
neophytes, they're gonna be attracted to a brand. The experienced
Yeah.
agents are going to be attracted to what's your value add, right?
hmm
Like, we'll take senior marketing specialists, for example. We talk a lot about when we're working with brand new agents who are interested in joining the family or interested in taking 1 or 2 contracts with us. We kind of try to figure out, are we a good fit for them? Are there somebody that's like, I
Yep.
just want the most the highest overrides, the biggest commission, the most co-op that I can possibly get? Well, if you get that, then they're showing me that maybe they don't value the personal touch. They don't value the training. They don't value the support. We may not be the best fit for some of those. We might be, because we can certainly add that other kind of value, but that's not necessarily where we put our value.
Yeah.
Same thing needs to go for you as an agent. Are you going to be somebody that's going to be the best trainer, the most support? Are you going to offer the best technology, the best back office support? Or are you just going to say, I can give you the most money? I will tell you, I will give you the most money is the least loyal. There's always somebody
Yes.
who's willing to pay more. So just keeping that in
100%.
mind. The most dollars you might get the most people, but you'll also get the biggest, uh,
You're going to have the most turnover
the
if you're
most
doing that.
turnover.
If your recruitment strategy is, as an agency owner, is overrides and co-op dollars, I think you're going to have a lot of in and out and turnover in your agency. Whereas if you're coming to it of, hey, I can help you be a mentor. I can, be a great local resource in the community for you. I can help show you some of the things that I've done over the years, provide you with a good CRM, provide you with a great enrollment platform, such as you get access to Integrity Connect if you work with me. Things of that nature
Mm-hmm.
creates a much more loyal downline base that's going to stick with you over the years.
Yeah. I just say, especially depending on your size, if you're the biggest of the biggest and you can't be beat, you're not. Because, I mean, we work with the biggest of the biggest. You're not Integrity. You're not these other organizations. Um, I would stay away from the dollars being your value add, because somebody will
Yeah.
always be able to beat you. There are so many organizations that are willing to lose money per app for that.
hmm
And so I wouldn't recommend that, but Will, you're 100% right. Now let's kind of talk about, again, going over the brand new versus the experience. Starting with the brand new, I think, Will, you put the nail on the head. You can be so much more creative with this, much more grassroots. You mentioned the college internship program. That's what SBS
Yeah.
did for years. They would bring young people into this and kind of sell the dream of, you can choose your hours. You can be your own boss. You're building this thing. You can balance, especially like post COVID, people are valuing I want my freedom, I want my time, but I also want to be able to make a living. And I think this is, if you can tout that to this younger demographic, they're the ones they find. It's crazy that insurance is sexy now. I don't get it. I don't no one asked my opinion.
Entrepreneurship is hot right now.
You know what? That was a better way of saying that. Versus is insurance sexy? No, but entrepreneurship is still hot right now.
Entrepreneurship is hot. And if you get, someone that's 19 years old that does an internship program through you, they come on board, they see the dream, they see how quickly you can ramp up to a 6-figure income if you work hard, and then you can set your own hours. If you only want to work Tuesday through Thursday from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. and you want to golf the rest of your time, that's something that can be accomplished in this industry. There we go. We just found Olivia's dream. We're selling her on the dream.
Today, this morning, my son was asking me about who are my levels of bosses, and he was talking about Joanne Ray. He knows Joanne because she's my boss. She's who I report to and all these things. And then he asked me, he's asking about his grandpa and why does his grandpa not have to work? And I was like, well, they're retired, honey. They don't work they worked really hard for a long time. He goes, when are you gonna retire? It's like, oh buddy. Anyways, I'm like, I'm just gonna play golf with my kid all day. Agree. Well, I think something else that you can do that is really grassroots that I wrote down for recruiting neophyte agents is finding good service elsewhere. You go out to dinner.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have an incredible hostess, an incredible server, things like that? And just being and when you are getting good service, you go shopping and you're getting somebody who's really helping you out, somebody who's going the extra mile. A lot of times, being able to work with them and sell them of do you like working nights and weekends? Do you like doing this? Let me give you, I know at one point we even had a card because we were trying to find employees, and that's really what an LOA agent is an employee. And anytime we got good service, we had a business card that we handed them and said, hey, you're awesome. We'd like to work with you. And we handed it to them, and we got a lot of great people and phone calls from just saying, I got great service. I would love to find a way to help you on your journey. I think you could help me a lot. Let's have a call.
What's really cool about that approach as well that I really love is people that you're encountering in customer service heavy fields like that, such as, people that work in a bank atmosphere, servers, waitresses, bartenders, barbacks, things of that nature, is they meet a lot of people that are having really bad days a lot of times, and they have to find a way to still be pleasant with them, or they have to give them some uncomfortable news from time to time.
Mm-hmm.
Those are skills that people have developed if they're really good at that translate really well to what we do that sometimes you just cannot teach.
If you have, I don't want to hire people unless they've been in retail or food service. I'm telling you, I went to college, I got my degrees, I got a minor in French. Ask me how many times I've used that. I've done all these things, and to prep the thing that prepped me for this career better than anything else was being a bartender. And of course, I did door-to-door political campaigning, and that I had some battle scars and stories for that. But being a bartender prepared me for this job better than anything else. You know what? Who else is another common place where people came from this industry? So many incredible people worked at golf courses, and because insurance agents golf all the time, just ask me. And so, but finding those service food or retail industry people, offering them a way out where they get to build their own hours, because nothing sucks worse than being retail and food service during football season, during Black Friday, during all these things. And so finding them, offering them a way out.
I can attest. I did both. I did both retail and bartending for a long time. And there were days when I was working retail, I was at work at 3:30 in the morning working. Those are just not fun hours. And there's a lot of people out there that live that life that would be able to make a transition pretty well and be able to really see the scalability of what they're doing.
I'm actually learning to speak Spanish now.
And are you the Duolingo bird, right?
I'm a Duolingo bird.
Yeah. How many times a day does it have to yell at you?
The bird is unhinged, by the way.
It is very
The Duolingo bird, it has fire and it twerks a lot and it makes me uncomfortable.
But you remember the brand. I think that's the lesson for the day. You remember the brand.
Let's switch into, for our final minutes, recruiting experienced agents and kind of where can you find these experienced agents? I think with experienced agents, it is a numbers game, but it's more so in the prospecting for that. Neophyte agents are a numbers game. You get as many in the door as you can, knowing that 30% of them will stick if you are you doing it right. Experienced agents are actually the opposite. I think your prospecting is the numbers game, knowing that you'll get fewer in the door. So you'll have, I think, a higher success rate, but you'll have a lower success rate of getting them signed, but a higher success rate that they're going to work out
Do
better.
well. Yeah.
Did that make sense? I didn't do well in
Yeah.
math. I think I've established that very clearly on this show. I had to take statistics. I can't even say statistics for that college thing I recommended. Anyways.
I think, obviously we've got like, traditional job boards. You really do though in that I think still have to sell what your value add is. Like why should they click on your job posting if they're maybe in a spot that's good enough, but maybe they're just looking for something a little bit better? What is that better that's going to hook someone that's currently producing? And then on the flip side, how can you get in front of them in a face-to-face manner? What can you do, whether maybe it's trade shows, maybe you can go to insurance-related trade shows, and if you have a booth or you want to talk about your agency or what have you, there's some grassroots ways that you can do that, but you're going to go through a lot of Indeed applicants, ZipRecruiter applicants before you really get one that's going to stick.
You just have to have such a strong online researchable presence. You had to be so vigilant on your website, on social media platforms, things like that. Because if they're an experienced agent versus they're going to do a lot more research about you. If you're bringing in a neophyte, they know you. You are the person they know. You're building a relationship one-on-one with that neophyte person. When you're doing it with an experienced agent, they already know what to look for. They know what to expect. They're going to be much more curious about your agency. And so having a place where they can research you, ask you the right questions, a place where you can be recommended, things like that. I think that's what's more important there when you're coming to finding experienced agents. I also think, again, like finding organizations that you really or coverages that you've worked with, like what's your PNC guy doing? Does he, you don't want to steal employees from your friends because then they become not your friend. But just kind of like looking in your industry, looking in your neighborhood, being such a strong local online presence will really help you find agents who are experienced that maybe want to try out something else. I also think you really need to focus in and hone in on your value adds. When you're pitching an agent, where you're teaching them why they should leave what they're doing and come work with you, then you really have to be very confident in what you bring to the table and have a pitch ready for them. Very clear, concise, giving them the basic idea of what they're doing, but and how you will help them grow their career, because they're already doing it. So you're trying to show them how you can help them do it differently or how you can help them grow. So really honing in on that.
I think not only that, but I would also caution anyone looking at growing through this avenue with experienced agents is don't get yourself too far out of what you know and what you're good at. Like if you have built your agency solely on, referrals and word of mouth, and that's really been your bread and butter, and you want to bring someone on that wants a lot of lead gen, that wants a lot of lead support, and you're going to have to learn a whole new avenue to support them. If they don't stick, you then have all this time that you've sunk cost to it that you're not going to get back, probably monetary expenses as well from a marketing standpoint. So recruit people that are going to fit within your model. Sometimes the best thing you can tell them is, hey, I don't think we're going to be a good fit. I wish you the best of luck in your endeavors. Like sometimes no is the best answer too.
1000%. 1000%. Awesome. Guys, that is where we're talking about is blah.
I like the wrap up.
Blah.
Repeat.
We just discussed kind of like the type of agent that you might be recruiting and giving you some good insights of like, should I recruit LOA? Should I recruit sub agents? And then where to find these types of agents. Again, we do this every day, you guys. We do have a career shop that's been around for 51 years. They've recruited. Oh my gosh, I love looking at their brochures or agent brochures from like the 80s, and they're taking pictures in front of these sports cars and wearing these expensive suits and talking about how much money they make, and like that killed in the 80s versus the recruitment today is you get to spend time with your family, you don't have to work nights and weekends, you get to get rewarded for helping people. So we've seen every era of recruiting agents down to on the brokerage side. We recruit neophyte agents on the brokerage side. We recruit incredibly experienced agents and everything in between. So we are happy to sit down and help you personalize what does growth look like. And guys, again, growth doesn't have to mean agents. There are so many incredibly successful people who have built empires on personal production, but they got to have help doing that. So we're happy to talk to you about what that looks like. But hopefully this maybe got the wheels turning, because if you're wanting to have a really successful 2027 AEP, now's the time to get in check.
Only run so many appointments by yourself.
You can only run so many appointments by yourself. Either way. Now, I am excited as we're wrapping up. I do want to announce that Senior Marketing Specialist is bringing back the AEP boot camp in Columbia, Missouri. That is going to be August 19th. And it is a 10 to 4 thing. You're going to be hearing from you're going to be hearing depth numbers. You're going to be hearing from my good friend Will here, Matt Carson, Clayton, Ben. All your favorites are going to be presenting on how to, I think that what we're coming at, like, what's the pathway to profit? This AEP is going to be an AEP of disruption, of chaos. Again, if you run it like your last couple AEPs, I think there's a Rocky 3 reference in there. I'll leave it at that. So we're going to be showing you guys the pathways to profit for the 2027 AEP. So if you want to sign up for that, reach out to us. We will get you a seat. There are very limited seating. We ran out of seats last year within a matter of a week. So we do have a bigger venue this year, but not much more seating. So if you do want to attend that, let us know. We'll get you registered ASAP.
Yep. Can't wait to see everybody there.
Awesome. Will, any final thoughts?
No, like Olivia said, there's no one size fits all. We didn't even talk about it today, but licensed admins as well also can exist. So there's so many different ways to approach it for this year, but I would encourage anyone that's been thinking about it really to get on it now. We are approaching the midnight hour for when it's going to be viable.
Jump on it. Me and Alex are having a vibe over here. And guys, again, thank you. Join us next Tuesday. We're going to be talking even more about recruiting downline agents and getting a little bit deeper into the topic. So join Will and I again next Tuesday, 10 a.m. Central Standard Time, as always. So until next time, have fun.
Make money.
And give impeccable service.
services.